All right, listen. Welcome back to another Coture Conversations episode at apexcouturemag.com. You already know, if I'm talking to somebody, that means that there's somebody that you need to know. Listen, this man does a lot. And I'm not even going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to let him tell you who he is and break down what he does. And we going to dive all up in it. What's happening, homie?
What's going on with you, bro? How you today, man?
I'm all right. Tell the people who you are.
True. I'm Alfred Nomad. I'm an artist, activist, curator. I love making music. I love using my music basically as a tool to create some sort of change or motivation for creative communities and marginalized communities all together. I do a lot. Like you said, I do a lot. Events, initiatives now. I do a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's chop some of it down. So what type of music is it that you make? Or I know there are people out there that are already familiar with your music, but for those who don't know and will be checking out this conversation, break down what type of music it is you make.
Yeah, well, I'm an MC first, so lyricism, songwriting. So hip hop would be the main genre, I would say, but
okay,
you definitely can hear a jazz influence, or, even some sort of funk or oldies or R&B, like probably when growing up, that we kind of hear that in there too. So
okay,
but yeah, it's hip hop though, just with a lot of different other things mixed into it, especially live instrumentation.
So listen, I want to tap in on that jazz. So are there any jazz influences that you have? Because I'm going to tell you, I used to like Norman Brown. You ever heard of Norman Brown?
Heard of him. I'm not going to act like I know.
He's a guitarist, man. Norman Brown was somebody that I like real good. So who are some of your jazz influences that you may have?
To be honest with you, man, I know a lot of different like musicians, but I'll say at least somebody, and this is somebody current, it's not even like an older person, but somebody that I love that I feel like does a really good job of blending jazz and hip hop is Robert Glasper. Like, I love Robert Glasper. But I mean, honestly, my biggest influence, and I didn't even realize it growing up, was just like my father. He plays jazz and funk. That's like his main two things he'll play all the time.
Okay.
So, and I didn't really even appreciate it back in the day of just him playing jazz music. It was kind of like it was okay. I'd rather be listening to hip hop somewhere. But he would. I listened to that my whole life. And his mother, my grandmother, plays jazz. Like I would hear that through the house too. And then when I was in college, I also interned and ended up working at a jazz radio station. Because I went to Clark Atlanta University, and I
shout out to Clark.
So I worked at WCLK, the jazz radio station out there for years, and around when I started doing that was when I realized I really liked the jazz I was listening to. But I'm not gonna act like I grew up and just had all these super influences and was into just jazz all day. But I just realized that the production that I choose to work with and like how my live shows are turning out, I'm realizing that influence is what I want.
Yeah. So the reason why I wanted to tap in on that is because we love hip hop. We definitely love hip hop. But we tend to overlook, because I overlooked jazz and the influence that it had on hip hop and on a lot of artists. When I got into it, I would say around 2011, I had just got out of prison and everything, but I chose to dive into it. And when I dove into it, when I went back to earlier hip hop records, I would hear something. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that. You see what I'm saying? And when they used to refer to like Miles Davis, they would say how cool he was. They would talk about how cool jazz musicians are. When I was younger, I was listening to 8 Ball, MJG, Wu-Tang, all this, right? I thought they was cool. So I'm like, how's the jazz niggas cool? Niggas ain't cool. But they are. To be able to do that art form of music and to get to know the type of lifestyle that they like to implement through the music, man, they cool as hell, man. You shit, ain't nobody cooler than a jazz musician, man. So all you hip hop niggas, y'all niggas lame compared to them. I just wanted to touch on that, man.
No, that's true, man. When you hear about the stories that they, like you said, the lifestyle they had, how they were, just how you had even like the competitive side that you see in hip hop, like that was in jazz too. You know?
Yes.
In addition to being super competitive and wanting to be the best and all of that, and showing people out, you know, and all that. Like you see all that in jazz too. So and a lot of the records that, you know, we grew up on, or even that you might hear.
You don't even a lot of like I said, there's a lot of records that have that influence or even samples that, and it was smart to do so because you wouldn't know where it came from because they know you weren't listening to no jazz. And like I said, I had to dive in it and get into it. And this is like when Pandora first hit real hard. And I got into Pandora. I was like, oh, that when I was first getting smartphones. And, you know, so, you know, I would listen to jazz and let it play. And then I started learning. So when you said that, you know, that was some of your influence, I definitely want to touch on that because I want to highlight some things that are different that doesn't get talked about a lot. You know, we don't get many artists talking about how they've been influenced by jazz or recognizing that there's an influence of that genre in the music. So, hey man, I just had to touch on that. So let's move forward. So you're an activist also, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Talk about that. Dive up in that. Let's get it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been doing work, you know, with trying to do work to better community, especially like I said, like around the creative community. But I've been doing stuff for years, but didn't even really consider myself like an activist. That's kind of something that's newer been placed and put on me as an art activist or artivist, or whatever you hear that. But yeah, it's just, you know, wanting to use your platform to make a difference, you know, and also calling out things that you see, whether it be injustices. Like I've been making songs, like I have a song I released this year called Justice that's about what we've been seeing, you know, brutality and murders and stuff. But I had a song called Calm Down that I made 3+ years ago that was talking about the same exact thing. And I kind of, so it was basically like a part 2 of that. And, you know, with voter registration, like I would have, at my events, I would be having voter registration. And then now, my most recent project that we call Everything Will Be All Right, that's based around mental health and self-care. And
that's dope.
And I decided to take it a step further, and I feel like nowadays, especially on like Instagram and everything, you see the term mental health, you know, you hear that a lot, mental health awareness and all that, but I feel like I saw a hole in that. People were aware of mental health but not really know what it was or how to really deal with it. What are the resources? Like, how do you actually deal with your mental health, or what resources are out there? You know, especially when it comes to like therapy and stuff like that. You know, growing up, it's just not a thing that you do. You know, so
I say it like this. I know, speaking for because I'm black, speaking for the black community, that's just something we didn't do. We always shied away from the mental health aspect when we're the main people who really need it. You know what I mean? Because we suffer from the most. I mean, even looking at the death, right? When we get killed, when we get shot by the police, or even if you die in the hood, it's always, nowadays you see it. It's in loops on the news. It's where they show it. Now, you don't see other races of people death being shown like ours is. There's a reason for that. And that has a devastating impact on our psyche. You see what I'm saying? We're being traumatized and don't even know it by seeing that. And then people are pulling out their phones, taping things for the internet. This is a gift and a curse. You know, something terrible is happening to somebody, you would think that you would help, but the first thing they do is pull out their phones, and you know, because they want some clout. I hate you niggas for that. I'm sorry, I ain't mean to say that to you. I hate you niggas for that. You know, I understand there are certain things that we need to be aware of, but some things, man, help. You know, and that's a mental illness. If you ask me, I go in on them, bro. Don't make me go in. That's a mental illness. You want clout that bad that you'd rather tape somebody being harmed than try to help them out, nigga. You got a mental problem. You need some help. And this man right here he's bringing that in his music. Right. You know, excuse me, man. I go off.
It's cool.
You know,
I mean, I've kind of got to the point where I don't even want to like watch, you know, the actual
videos
that are there. Like, you know, just the fact of knowing something happened is enough for me. You know, you've seen it so many times, and you hate to see it, like I said, being normalized. Like it's you know, you see it too much, and then you start to it's just another.
It just
hashtag. It's just whatever. You know what I'm saying?
And we get used to one of the things.
And yeah, speaking on the trauma, so I wanted to.
Go ahead. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, but go ahead.
Oh yeah. I was just saying. I mean, one of the things so what I wanted to do is like seeing that hole there. I wanted to bring resources. So I first started doing these web events basically when we all got to the quarantine, and I was bringing people from mental health professionals in and just having like calls that people could ask questions, talk about different topics, and I centered it all around the album too. So I was talking about different things, different topics I talked about on the album in different songs. So it could be about, you know, suffering in silence and depression to, you know, parenthood and fatherhood to violence or, you know, financial wealth, like all these different things.
Yes.
And we're just bringing in resources about it. And then from that, and just because I came in as a student, I didn't come into this, you know, expert. I wasn't an expert or nothing. I still don't consider myself one. I came in as a student just like everybody else. But I just paying attention and the feedback I was getting and how so many people it's first time really seeing these type of things and learning these type of things. I was like, I need to take it a step further, and I decided to start an initiative raising funds to provide free therapy sessions for Black people. So that's been something really cool to be able to start.
Yeah, you know, that is definitely something. I mean, because I found out, you know, I had anybody that knows or follows me or follow my magazine would know. I had last year. I was in the hospital 5 months, had pancreatitis, almost died 3 times, all that. Found out I had anxiety. I didn't even know. They put me on lorazepam and all that. So, you know, these are some of the things, like I said, that we like to shy away from it. And why I wanted to really hone in on this is because it's dope that you're actually doing that with your music. Mainstream music, I mean, I'll be blunt with it. I like the music, but I know I would say I know the source or the force behind it. And so that the reason why music sounds the way it sounds is because you got a lot of young guys ain't never had nothing, ain't had no money, they need that money. You only gonna be able to say, you know, especially for these labels, because I deal with these artists all the time. A lot, if you're independent, you could talk a lot of, you know, you can do a lot of that. You get with these labels, man, all that positive, you know, you got substance in your music. Go back to the drawing board. You need to be throwing some racks. You need to be popping some seals and some lean. You need to be on Perkins. You need to be doing all that. We don't need none of it. So I really appreciate people like you that take your art form and go back. Man, you remember, I don't know how old you are. I'm 39, but late 80s, early 90s. You remember the college sweats where you had the Morehouses and them, and you remember Leaders of a New School, Poor Righteous Teachers, groups like that were talking and teaching with the music.
Right.
This became a problem. Not for us, it was great for us, but it became a problem.
Special time.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? And they had to curb that. And they did a very good job. And now look where we are at 2020. So we need people like you. We need people like you to take that and do that so that, because it's like if you ain't talking about shooting 100 niggas and by the end of your first verse, it's like you you ain't hot. But it ain't real, because if you really did that, nigga, you'd be dead or in jail. So we kind of now, I say, with people like you, are a force. We need you. We need you to do what you're doing, with your music, man. And I'm sure there are younger men and women that follow you, that see that there's an avenue for that. And talk about that. What is the impact on the younger generation that follow?
Yeah, I mean, I'm having conversations on the side with different people, every here and there, kind of regularly. I feel like the fact that I opened up in the music this time, especially with this time around, and just the attention it's starting to get, it's allowed other people to feel okay with it to me. So, and I'm hearing the same thing. It's kind of like, thank you, for talking about these things, and keep going like what you're doing. I hear this a lot too. Like, I don't know why you're not, bigger than you are. Like, your stuff is, it's such and such. Like, you should. I don't know why, but you're doing the right thing. Like, keep it going. Like, that's what I hear a lot. So
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, man, I know I can't say speak to your situation, but I know why it's like that in the industry. You see what I'm saying? And I think that we have to we got to take our shit back, man. Let me stop being politically correct. I can't do that. Y'all know me. We gotta take it back, man. We gave it away. I'm gonna be honest. We allowed everybody in because we are a loving people. We allowed everybody in, and now this is what you got. This what you got, man. You know what I'm saying? And we let everybody start remote controlling our culture, and people that are allowing us to be shot in the back they're not gonna really push for us to have a positive side. They got prisons. They make money. They don't. No, we don't need these niggas out here talking about getting their mental health together. No, we need these prisons filled up with them. So that's the main reason why music sounds, the mainstream sounds the way it sounds. And I'm seeing now that there is there's a change happening. 2020 has been, if you didn't wake up this year from whatever you was asleep to, then you deserve everything that's going to happen to you in 2021. You know what I mean? So, but so talk about your album and the name of it, the whole concept and everything about the album.
Yeah, so it's called Everything Will Be All Right, and the album, like I said, is centered around mental health, wellness, self-care, importance of community. But it basically initially was a mantra I was telling myself, while I was going through a tough time. Was everything will be all right, everything will be all right. Like I was telling that to myself, and I was recording something completely different at the time, but this ended up. The music I was trying to make wasn't the place I was in, and the music. So I started writing the truth and just the life. Yes. This ended up kind of being what I was talking about and where stuff was going. So I just decided to actually make that a project. And even if you go to like the cover of the album, it's basically me looking beat up, but with the words everything.
I seen that on your page.
And it's basically like showing, my point behind that is showing the pain that we tend to all feel on the inside, but we don't show it, and showing it on the outside, but also having some sort of positivity, like whether we're trying to act like everything will be all right or we actually are trying to believe everything will be all right. But a lot of us tend to carry a lot and feel the way that I look like on that cover, so we don't tell it or show it. So I'm doing that on this album.
And I love honesty. I love honesty because we live in a world now where everything, especially when you speak about Instagram, everything is based on clout, man. And, everybody's showing their best moments or trying to create their best moment for the internet, and some people's lives are in shambles behind the scenes. Now, what I would say, listen. You don't want to post negative things because when I go through, if I'm going through something, I don't put it out there. I'm married. I can go through that with my wife in my household. But if you were to go to most people's Instagram pages, they living it up, man. Ain't nobody got no problem. Everybody got racks. Everybody balling. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody just doing it. And I know that's not the damn case. Okay, we know. So it's important for, even if you're not sharing it, to go and you need to get inside yourself. Michael Jackson said that, man. Michael Jackson said, "I'm starting with the man in the mirror," and I don't think people really got what that man was saying, because if you start with yourself and everybody were to look inside, fix themselves first, the world would be a better place, because then nobody wouldn't be doing all this bullshit. You see what I'm saying? So, I feel like, I'm glad we connected. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad we're talking, because I want the people to be able to, and I'm gonna need you to tell. We're gonna have all of your information, everything in the article, but tell them where they can find the album. Tell them where they can follow you. If you got any events coming up like that they can be a part of, give it to them.
Yeah. So I'm Alfred Nomad. You can follow me at Alfred Nomad. That's ALFREDNOMAD. You can find all my information at alfrednomad.com. If you follow me, you go to my bio, you'll see the links to see all of my stuff. Wherever you listen to music at, you can find me. Just search Alfred Nomad, I'll pop up. You can listen to that album. I have other bodies of work too that you can tap into. If you like that album, you'll like the other stuff I got too. I have another album that I released at the top, towards the top of this year in 2020, called Curating Dopeness, with a couple other people that's really dope too. So if you haven't checked that out, you should definitely check that out too.
Word.
As far as what I got coming up, you can. And I have some new music coming out. I'm not sure when this will release, but I'm gonna release a freestyle right at the end of the year. So that's something to look forward to. And I'll be having more content, performances, and visuals. And I got Everything Will Be Alright merch line is gonna be coming on the way too. So it's a lot more coming, and the vinyl for the Everything Will Be Alright album.
What you doing?
Have more stuff to look forward to with the project. Yeah,
man. You know what? That's if you're a real hip hop head, man, you would appreciate that vinyl. I'm telling you, man. Like that, having that. Honestly, man, that's a collector's item. You know what I'm saying? That's
exactly.
Yeah, that's definitely something you want to do. I'm glad you're doing that. See, I be finding out this stuff when I do these, man, because I like to have an honest, organic conversation to find out. So I'm just thinking. So what do you think? How do you feel about us going into 2021? What do you feel? What do you thinking, man? Because we came into 2020, we didn't know we was finna get hit with that hook.
I feel like everybody thought 2020 was about to be their year.
Ooh, Lord.
Going into it, I feel like that's what everybody thought. You know what I'm saying? How do I feel? I mean, it's been a crazy, fast, also drawn out year, but it's also been pretty productive for me too, thankfully.
Okay.
I'm very, very grateful for that, and I've learned a lot about myself too this year, for sure. So I'm going into the year. I've been hopeful, man, and I feel like there's still a lot to gain and do going into next year. But I feel like this is a year that I hopefully show people what's important, and what more things are meaningless, how fragile things can be, in life. And I just hope that people can take that into the next year and be a little more focused. And I guess just know what you want, or what you want to get to, and don't give up. Like everything will be all right. I guess it will be an unselfish fun, but still believe that everything will be all right because you're still here. So
I mean, it's been a hell of a ride this year, man. And and I asked that question because, if I'm not mistaken, you might be one of the last interviews I'm doing to end the year out, and it's crazy just thinking about all of the things that took place, and the challenges with a lot of people been challenged with the quarantining and this COVID thing. I think that we, especially Black people. When I speak for us, I'm pro-Black as hell, man. So I think we're resilient and we've survived so much. We survive things that other people can't survive, man. So we're gonna make it. We're gonna go into 2020. We're gonna hit the ground running. Just take it easy though. If you look both ways before you cross that street, boy, because we didn't look when we went into 2020. We just ran out in the road. We ran out in the highway, man, and I ain't talking about a regular street. We went out on the interstate, in the middle of all that traffic, and
This year has been like a game of progress, for sure.
For real, man. I just, so I had to, just reflect on that. But I want to thank you for taking your time out, man, to chop up some game with me, man. And I'm definitely gonna make sure that everything is there in the article for y'all. Y'all know how I do. Y'all make sure that y'all have everything you need. And I want to encourage y'all to check his music out. I want to encourage you guys to check out everything that he's doing, and apply these things to your life, man. Mental health, this issue is something important. A lot of words, a lot of terms can be thrown around on the internet for clicks, likes. This thing is real. It's really real. I know I suffer from it myself. We all do. We just don't like to admit it. So I want to thank you again, man. Anything you want to say before we get up out of here? Any shout outs or anything?
Yeah, man. I'll shout out my guy Jermaine Rashford that played a big part on this album. The Rattle, who's based in LA and the UK, that is an organization that's been working with me. I'll shout them out as well. My whole Love TYD team has been helping me. And I also want to make sure to shout out Inclusive Therapists and Therapy in Color, who are the organizations that partner with me to provide these therapy sessions. And the last thing I'm going to say too is that you can also look forward to, I'm going to be doing another round of applications, hopefully within the next month or two, to provide the next person to be able to get some free therapy. So that's something that you can look forward to too. So I thank everybody that's been supporting this cause, and it's really dope. So I'm just going to keep going.
I like this guy. Keep it up. Man, doing some real work, man. Well, listen, we got it all for you. You already know how it is, man. Apex Couture Magazine, Couture Conversations. Another episode, Take Out 2020, man. We out.